to the Haymaker MMA Show with your hosts, Tanasha and Ian Wall.
Sound the alarms. We got a big one coming up this weekend. 3 championship fights. Adesanya, Blachowicz for the light heavyweight chip. Adesanya is going to be trying to become one of the most recent double champs, 2-weight division champs, which is a rare occurrence in the UFC, so we'll see if he can get it done. Next in the co-main is Amanda Nunes against Megan Anderson. We'll see if anybody can even put up a fucking fight against Amanda Nunes, because so far nobody has really done anything. Even Chris Cyborg, which I thought would be a great fight, but she even passed that with flying colors. And then the first championship fight on the card, Aljamain, the Funk Master Sterling against Petr, the Russian Yan. That should be a banger also. And I guess we'll just jump right into it on the main card here, the feature prelim here with Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenney. Dominic, a vet, like we said on the lines, not getting the love or respect he deserves, coming off of a loss to Henry Cejudo in that championship fight where he famously said Keith Peterson smells like cigarettes and alcohol. But how do you see this one going down with Dominic and Casey Kenney?
So about the cigarettes and alcohol, he requested the UFC, I heard, that don't have Keith Peterson ref this fight. Fair enough. I thought he was bullshitting first, and I still do, honestly. But, dude, yeah, Cruz is being disrespected. First off, he's the most successful bantamweight champion in the world. His last 9 out of his last 10 fights, title fights, which he's 7-2 in. He lost to Cejudo after almost 4 years off, when he lost his belt to Cody No Love. He's had shit luck with injuries, but he still keeps coming back, keeps doing well. He's not the most powerful guy, but he's one of the smartest people in the sport, in my opinion. Dominic Cruz, man, like, how is he getting a prelim spot after fighting for the title 10 times before this, or 9 times before this? This is bullshit, but whatever. Let's get into the fight still. Casey Kenney, solid fighter, put up a 3-5 win streak. I saw his last fight against Nathaniel Wood. I actually thought Nathaniel Wood would win, but then Kenney really showed that he is very strong, like talented on the ground, and his striking's getting better as well. But Cruz's striking is actually fucking sick. He doesn't hit too hard or anything, but he'll touch you and move for 5 rounds. He'll keep the pressure, no problem. It's gonna be so hard to find him, and he hits from such weird angles, and he has so much experience against he's always fought the best guys for, the past 10 years almost. 2011 was when he beat Faber. So 2010 he beat Brian Bowles in the WEC championship. So that's literally 10 years ago. He's been fighting champions. I like the underdog, man. That's good value. He's the better fighter, more experienced. I think he's pissed off, but I think people are counting him out.
He's always
and
pissed
noticing.
off.
Yeah, he wasn't pissed off about the whole prelim thing, and I don't think he cares about the underdog. He'll be like, fuck it, I'll just I'll show them that I'm still this, and I think he will. I think he'll get the job done.
Yeah, I disagree with the odds, but maybe not as much as you might say. I think it's a pick'em fight in this. Where Dominic is, like you said, one of the most dominant champions, or the most dominant champion in that division, but recently hasn't passed his test, has had long layoffs with injuries. Everyone knows how hard that can be, and to get the ring rust off. Has looked good in some performances, but also not necessarily like his old self just yet. So it would still have to be, this performance would be when he would kind of come out and show his old self. But Casey Kenney, I think his most impressive win in the UFC, Casey Kenney, is his debut over Ray Borg, who's like one of the best wrestling scramblers in the whole kind of division, and that's Casey Kenney's game also. Isn't necessarily the sharpest striker, but just pressure on the hands and pressure with grappling, and has come out on top in a lot of those situations. I'm with you on this one. I like Dominic Cruz to have a better solution for that. He's been facing those kind of grappling guys his whole life, with like Uriah Faber and all of them. That's kind of where he grew up fighting, is against those kind of guys. So I think he has a good skill set for that with his movement. That's all basing off of if he's okay and healthy and still has that same movement. But I like I like him at these plus odds also. If it was a little steeper odds, I would stay away from this one, but I like Dominic Cruz. There's also a boost going on FanDuel right now for plus 500 for Dominic Cruz to win by TKO or points, and that's the one I decided to put my unit on for this one.
Yep. Definitely not bad. Let's talk about the layoff a little bit. So he beat Demetrius in 2011 when DJ moved up to fight at 135. Then 3-year layoff, he beats Mizugaki in 2014. That's just a regular fight. That's his only non-title fight in the past 10 years. Comes back in 2016, beats Dillashaw and Faber. So he has been back from all these injuries and stuff, and I like his chances, that's why.
You're right. He has shown. Those are good examples of how he has bounced back. Now, granted, he hasn't on these last two, but he knows how to do it, so we can get back on track.
Yeah, I'd say the last one even. The Cody was just a better man, dude. He fucked him up. And Henry also
younger
was, like,
blood
at the peak, yeah. But yeah, he's also 35 now, but I think he'll make the adjustments and then come back strong.
Casey isn't necessarily a dangerous guy either, so I think that's a good opponent for Dominic. That there's not really, I don't think, too much danger of a stoppage from Casey Kenney's part.
Kick off the main card, we got a couple of big light heavyweights. Some powerful
bangers, baby.
Yeah, you got some powerful boys. And number 4 ranked, Alexander Rakic from Serbia. And then Thiago Marreta Santos from Brazil.
Ooh, very nice.
The former title contender. Lost his last one to Glover after knocking him down a couple times, but that's Glover Teixeira for you.
Crazy good
and
fight.
Rakic banged up Anthony Lionheart-Smith pretty bad. 3-round note, like 30-27s, 30-26s everywhere. Just dominated him in the clinch, grappling, and striking, whatever little striking they did in that fight. How do you see these big boys playing out?
Man, Rakic had a crazy good performance in the fight against Anthony Smith. I felt I could have got stopped like 15 different times. But also, to that same token, I haven't been too impressed with Anthony Smith lately as an elite caliber fighter.
I'm happy he bounced back with that first round sub, but like he hasn't been doing great since the Jones loss. No, he beat Gustafsson and then
he had a great showing at Gustafsson, and then
he
sometimes
got destroyed by Glover, and then Rakic also beat his ass. But I don't know.
With that being said, I don't think Rakic has too much or has faced a good, experienced, high-level UFC fighter with good power since Volkan Oezdemir, which he ended up losing in a split decision. It was a close fight, but he didn't do the best. Now, he could learn some lessons from that and apply it to this matchup, but god damn, looking at Thiago Santos fighting Glover Teixeira, even though he lost, every time he touched him, man, it was drop, just boop on the chin. The guy has crazy power. I think all of his wins in the UFC are stoppages. I think he might have one decision. Thiago Santos to Kevin Holland, okay?
Yep.
And so yeah, he's a real finisher. Rakic, on the other hand, is a great kickboxer. But I just think the power is going to be as Rakic engages in these firefights, and if you engage and even get touched by Thiago Santos, I think he's going to be in a world of trouble. Thiago Santos, I'm just going to take a money line, but I would lean TKO or KO.
Yeah, dude, I'd like to agree with you. I think Rakic is like a real prospect, 29 years old. He's done really well, just lost one fight in the UFC and everything, but fucking Santos is a different animal, dude. He got a lot of power in his punches and kicks, you know. He hits them pretty fast, dude. That's what's a little deceptive about him. He's so big, you'd think he'll move a little slower, but he hits you pretty fast, and he can put you on your ass like a bunch of times. And I don't think that Rakic he definitely doesn't have the jiu-jitsu that Glover has to sustain a beatdown and then hold him to the ground like that.
Or wrestling. Maybe he takes
the wrestling.
Santos is no young pup on the ground or even in the wrestling department either. So I don't think that's even a path to.
He's good, not great at that. He's
for
good,
Rakic.
not great. I think if Thiago can stop a couple takedowns from John Jones, Rakic doesn't take him down. Yeah, dude, I like Thiago by knockout also. Because, just for the reasons I said, he's got a lot of power. He's very fast. It was a banging fight, though. I can't wait. Rakic is the bigger man. If you haven't looked at that,
I've learned in the last couple of cards, especially in the month of February and early March here, that can never predict when it looks like it's going to be a banging fight that's going to be over and around.
Yep.
Can never predict that. So I'm staying away from the KO props or in the distance props, and just going straight, trying to stay with some money lines this week.
Fair enough.
Second fight into this main card here with the Islam Makhachev, Little Khabib, and Drew Dober. Makhachev, people have been saying, Diet Khabib, one of his proteges, exact same kind of style. Not the best striking, but you let him get a hold of you and get you on the ground, you're in a world of trouble. Doesn't have too many finishes, but is just dominant on the ground, much like Khabib. Then Drew Dober, on the other hand, coming off of a 3-fight KO streak. Has been like a full-life Muay Thai prodigy. His not in some of his pictures you can see online or on Tapology or anything, but in his interviews nowadays, his ears are all banged up and busted up. So he's definitely putting some time in on the mat, but that's not comparable to Islam Makhachev wrestling. So watching Drew Dober getting these 3 early KOs in these last 3 fights, I liked. I was liking Dober's chances at the odds that he had, but doing some more research, and he got some, I think easy takedowns sometimes in the middle of the cage against Alexander Hernandez, and a couple of others going back. But that's a great examples in those fights, or in that fight with Alexander Hernandez, how even when Dober's doing good and pouring on some good strikes, he's still susceptible to get taken down, and the round can be swayed in his opponent's favor because he eats an easy takedown or two. And Islam Makhachev is going to be shooting those all day long, especially if he gets clipped by a couple of shots and goes into a panic wrestling mode. So seeing that he could give up some sloppy takedowns, and that's Islam Makhachev's main path to victory, I got to go Islam Makhachev no matter how steep the price is. Maybe a little quarter unit or half unit on Dober by KO, because he definitely has the ability in his striking in Muay Thai to get it done in the first, after the beginning of every round starts standing. So maybe an early round KO by Dober, but definitely lean Makhachev by the majority.
You don't bet against the guy with a beard and no stash. But
until he's got COVID and retires, but we'll talk about that another time.
But he's not fighting. He was fighting COVID. You always bet.
He lost.
You can't bet against COVID.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude, I completely agree with that assessment. I think everyone says he's the man, like AKA is like he's our next champion, the next Khabib. But some people do say that he does way better in practice than he does in his actual fights. And now that he's 29, it's really time for him to step up and show us everything. You've seen a couple of times with Islam that he just takes someone down and you're like, dude, what just happened? It was so fast. It was such a weird,
perfect
wrist
timing,
movement.
just like textbook.
So good. Exactly. So he definitely has that in him, that Khabib Sambo wrestling. And everyone's backing him and everything. I definitely like him. I think his striking is better than Khabib's. It's not the most crisp, but he had a straight knockout of Gleison Tibau in 2018, which was pretty sick. Drew Dober, obviously, 3 early knockouts, one second round and 2 first. Yeah, Alexander Hernandez, he lasted a little longer. He's a scary guy, dude. He's just scary looking, I think, too, and he's
ripped.
And his striking is absolutely vicious. But I don't think it compares to the level of Islam Makhachev's takedowns and grappling. I think he'll be controlled, and I don't think he'll even clip Islam, because when the threat of the takedown is so high, you're swinging wildly, and your hands are going to stay low, and you're not going to have as much speed and power as when your hands are a little higher up. So maybe Islam could clip him, honestly, like the Conor and Khabib thing, because of the threat of the takedown, you get hit in the face. But definitely Islam Makhachev to win.
Petr Yan and Aljamain, the Funk Master, coming out of New York City. Sterling, actually, I lied. He used to. He just moved, I think, recently to New Mexico or something. But still training with Sarah and Longo in
Sarah
New
Longo,
York
Long Island.
Yep. And then Peter, the Russian Yan. Or maybe that's not his nickname, but Petr
No
Yan.
mercy.
No mercy. There you go. I thought it was the Russian. He's Russian, if you couldn't tell, and he's a kickboxer, which is interesting because you don't see too many Russian kickboxers. Usually they gravitate more towards the grappling stuff, but has been a vicious kickboxer, probably the best Muay Thai striker in that division. And then Aljamain Sterling, who on paper is a grappler, jiu-jitsu kind of specialist, but over the last couple of fights has really showed his progression in striking, and I think he might be able to cause a couple threats. But how do you see this one going?
This is a tough one, dude.
Tough one.
Tough one, because, like, Jan's striking and his power is on a very different level than any of the 135-pounders. And then Aljo has this crazy... He's, like, one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, and he's sick at jiu-jitsu now. See what he did to Sandhagen in fucking 1 minute, 30 seconds. He choked him out in the first round. No one does that. Like, you can get a leg lock.
Just did to,
yeah, and Sandhagen's a beast
Frankie.
too. Like, so yeah, dude, like that grappling is nasty. He's huge. He's so strong. Striking's getting better. But then again, I think, dude, look at what Jan did to fucking Aldo. Aldo's getting a little older, but he's still top high level, and he just broke him. He smashed him, dude, literally on the feet, and then he just ground and pounded the shit out of him for like 2 minutes until the ref finally pulled him off. As for predictions, dude, I'm going to go with my heart on this one a little bit more than my research and my eyes and everything. Like Aljamain Sterling. I think he's going to grapple him. The grappler will come out on top again, in my opinion.
Yeah, this one's a bitch to predict.
It's tough.
Just like the odds are showing. I think Petr Yan does his best work, on the feet and pressuring forward where the guys nowhere to go, kind of gets cornered and his back's against the fence. They have that smaller octagon that shows when you're on that warning track, and when he's controlling the center of the cage and the guy's got their back to the cage or doesn't really have anywhere else to back up. I think he does his best work. You saw in the Uriah Faber fight, he did great there. And that's where he really did all of his damage, not even necessarily in the clinch or at distance in the middle of the cage, but just pressure forward, or in the middle of the octagon, but pressure forward into the cage, and then that's where you can land your more devastating shots. But what I think Aljamain Sterling does great is not getting cornered. He's so quick and with his lateral movement and slipping or moving left and right and getting out of situations after landing some long strikes. He's really developed that long range kind of distance striking over the last 3 fights with I think it was Munoz Rivera and the Cody Stamann fight that I was watching. Sandhagen,
Yep.
you didn't really get to watch too much of his striking game, but has progressed so much from just like a grappler All-American wrestler that he had been known or kind of made more of a name for. But I think he's can pose a lot of threats for Petr Yan in that department. But given that this is a 5-round fight, Petr Yan has some good wrestling defense or takedown defense that he's shown against in the Uriah Faber fight. He's got in on a lot of single legs Uriah did, and he was able to get out of them and even reverse them sometime in 1 or 2 instances. And that's one of Sterling's main ways takedowns. He's not really a body lock guy or a blast double or something. He's a single and do something funky to get you off balance. And I don't think that's going to be his grappling is going to be very effective against Yan, and over a 5-round fight, or his takedown efforts are going to be as effective as people are going to think. I think if he gets him to the ground, he's in a world of trouble. If he's got Aljamain on top of him, I think Aljamain's submission offense could be a big problem for him, but I don't think he's going to have an easy time getting him to the ground. With that being said, over 5 rounds, I think Jan's striking that he's shown so far is just so crisp, and I think he's the best Muay Thai guy in that division. I think it's going to be a great fight, and it's super close. I'm just leaning this way. I'm definitely not going to bet anything on this fight because it's way too close. So just making a prediction from the heart, just a little breakdown. It could go either way. I would like Sterling to win, but I think Jan's going to get it done over 5 rounds in a decision.
What do you make of the narrative that Jan hasn't fought as many top contenders to get that title shot? Like, everyone says that. Aljo said that, Sterling, and I think even Henry might have said it, that he hasn't fought anyone. The last fight he fought before the belt was a 40-year-old Uriah. Like, he wasn't, What do you make of that?
they're not wrong. But the problem is, on paper, they're not wrong. But you go and look at the performances and how he looked. Granted, they could be right in the sense that he looked that good because he was going up against some older, more washed up fighters. But he also looked to everybody's eye and to everyone's logic. He looked like very, very good in all of those wins, even though they're against some opponents that Sterling on paper might have fought some better ones.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment 100%. The paper doesn't show what the actual fight does, and he fucking smashed both of them. So he deserves to be there, in my opinion.
Speaking of smashings, let's move on to this co-main event with Amanda Nunes and Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson, the highlight packages that they're throwing together. She's a big chick that definitely has some power to her, but she's got 2 wins over girls who it's like their UFC debut and their second fight in the UFC, and her most recent win is over a lady who's 4-0. Only has 4 professional. She's 4-1 now, obviously, but was 4-0 when they fought. Only has 4 professional MMA fights, and she's getting a title shot after that against a vicious new mama bear too.
The goat.
Yeah. Amanda Nunes on I don't even know how many streaks, but recently the thing that makes this one a little interesting, I think, for the bettors is how does Amanda Nunes get this one done? What do you think?
By murder.
Can't bet on that, unfortunately.
Yeah, dude, Megan Anderson is not going to cause any problems, I think, to the mama bear, like you said. Congratulations, Amanda Nunes, of course.
Who gives a fuck?
Oh, good for her.
Okay,
and
yeah.
Is her wife Sarah? No, who's her wife? Yeah, I forget. She's about to have a fight, too. Whatever.
Oh, my God, I'm blank. Nina Ansaroff.
Nina Ansaroff, so... I mean, I enjoyed watching that on Countdown. Why not? Little family stuff. Yeah, I don't think Megan Anderson has a shot at all. No one does at 135 or 145, the belts that Amanda Nunes, the actual GOAT, holds in those 2 divisions. Like in the men's, you can argue who the GOAT is, but in the females, it's just no question.
Can't say
that
anything.
It's Amanda Nunes. There's just no argument. Like, you'll lose if you try to argue against that. But then she's beaten every champ at 135, 145. Knocked out a bunch of girls, too. She's had dominant decisions, like, should have been, like, 50-40 or, like, 50-30 also, if you want to, like, talk about that. Like, yeah, she did have a little problem on the feet against Germaine de Randamie, who's kind of similar structure to Megan Anderson. They're both tall and fight at distance. They're good at striking. But then Amanda just, like, took her down and then banged her up on the ground. So I don't see a single way like that Megan Anderson could put up a real fight. Maybe she touches her once or twice and people fucking but like that's nothing real. And then and she's obviously a heavy favorite. Sorry, she's obviously a heavy favorite. And then the props, I don't know. I don't want to make a pick on that.
Yeah, too tough to call. I think Megan Anderson's only route to success is the go back to the well with the Kat Zingano toenail to the eye. Get Nunes out of there with the old toe to the eye. But other than that, I think she's dead in the water. And like you said, in Nunes' last 2 fights, it comes to decisions. She dominated them the whole time, but it came to decisions. Never really put the icing on the cake to get him out of there. Even though it seemed like as a spectator, she probably could have done a little more. Even though she was skating to a victory, and you always love to see the finish as a spectator. Easier said than done. And you want to preserve that, title and skate to that victory. But against Felicia Spencer, who's a dangerous grappler, and Germaine de Randamie, who's a dangerous striker, has shown that she's amazing in all facets. And then, MMA math never adds up, but Felicia Spencer, before Megan Anderson beat those 2 kind of newbies, Felicia Spencer choked her out in the first round. So, can't see it going any other way.
Yeah. I can see it going like Megan Anderson showed great heart from the first round. And that's when it's over. So
Megan Anderson is so tough.
That's what it is. Yeah, that Megan Anderson. So I don't know, wherever she's from, Australian toughness or whatever they'll start saying. Yeah, it's going to be a long night for her, unfortunately.
Sound the alarms, pots and pans, ring the bells. The main event is on. Jan Blachowicz defending the first defense of his light heavyweight title with Israel Adesanya trying to become one of the most recent double weight champions as a middleweight champ and a light heavyweight champ. I don't know if you've seen an interview recently tonight with him and Ariel saying he's probably going to come in around 193. Could be smoke and mirrors, or he could be coming in, the same weight he would go into a middleweight fight at without having to cut weight. What do you see this one going?
I don't know, dude. I couldn't get a read if he was lying or if he was just actually being real, that I'm just going to outpoint him and beat him like that. But I think it's a mistake if he comes in at 193 at the scales. Jan cuts probably from 225 to 205. He's going to be at least 220 on the night. And at 220 to 200, that's 20 pounds. And I don't care. And he's
Adesanya, it's not
exactly.
Real, too much
massive.
fat on it.
He got the legendary Polish power, bro. It makes a difference. And Jan puts up good combinations too, he's a big guy, but he can move. You see what he did to Dominic Reyes. He would throw punches and then mix in that body kick, which is absolutely vicious. It looked like he was bleeding, but it was just a bruise. Bless you.
Thank you.
It looked like he was bleeding, but it was just a bruise on the side of his ribs.
That was so crazy.
Nasty,
that's the weirdest bruise I've ever seen.
Yeah,
a smack. It's like the worst 5-star.
Exactly. And it's like you're getting hit by a belt over and over or something like that. And then he knocked him out, broke his nose to get the 205 belt. Adesanya, obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of him outside the cage. People call him the next big thing, superstar and all that. His fighting style is definitely best striker in the UFC. Definitely, according to me. At least right now, I'll give it to probably Adesanya, Wonder Boy, just pure strikers. But I think Adesanya takes the cake because he's undefeated and he basically fucked everyone up. For records, obviously, Jan won his last 3 knockouts in that. Corey Anderson, dangerous guy, but style completely different from the style bender, Adesanya. He's fought Dominic Reyes was more like Adesanya, striking first and all that stuff, but nowhere near the skill level. Adesanya had Paulo Costa, Romero, and Whitaker. There's some nasty opponents, but Kelvin Gastelum gave him his toughest fight, which is interesting. The fight against Yoel was pretty boring, and then Costa fucking drinking wine before.
Oh my, unbelievable,
that was so annoying, dude. I can't believe he said that.
Worst excuse ever. Dude,
it was so funny. He does say some of the dumbest shit in the U.S.
And I wouldn't even put it past this dumbass to actually. Oh, I need to get some sleep. Let me drink a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
I know, dude. That was ridiculous. And dude, remember when he was on Instagram, right? The day after he gets knocked out by Izzy, he didn't do anything in that fight. First off, Costa was he put up a video of himself sign the contract. Sign the contract now. It's dude, you
just got hammered.
Obliterated.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Sign the contract. Yeah, but you're a silly guy. And I think skill is more, Adesanya said that skill is more important than power, and I think it's true also. As much as I'm not a fan of the guy, I do respect him a fuck ton, obviously. And I think he's gonna win. I'm not gonna bet on this fight because I'm rooting for Jan, 100% for Blachowicz, but I don't know. I think Adesanya's gonna win.
Yeah, and I thought this would be a lot heavier favorites for Adesanya would be a lot heavier favorite, and Jan would be a big underdog here. So I'm liking that they give Jan some respect because you're right that he's just height wise, I think Adesanya might even be taller, but just frame wise, Jan is so thick and he's so strong.
His shoulders are huge.
Recently he's been having a lot of KOs, but he's got a great grappling base and jiu-jitsu base also. Now you can see in Adesanya's fights recently, he's been having some really good takedown defense also. So we'll see if that can hold up. But also, Blachowicz has fought in some guys who have moved up from middleweight before in Souza and Luke Rockhold. So he's faced that competition a little bit. I don't think they have the same movement as Adesanya, but maybe has some examples to go from some smaller, quicker guys to move around. And then on the flip side, Adesanya has moved up to heavyweight before and fought kickboxing in heavyweight division, and has had success, KO'd people clean against other heavyweights fighting at the weight he is now. So both of them have a little bit of, not too many examples, but a little bit of prior experience with this kind of matchup, and both have passed those tests before. So I think, again, like you said, this is going to be so hard to call. Does Adesanya have the power and precision to put out a tank like Blachowicz?
Mm-hmm.
Will Blachowicz be able to close the distance and land one of those Polish hammers on Adesanya? We've seen when Adesanya fought Gastelum, if you can people can land
Make
on
it
him.
dirty.
Yeah, if you can land on him, he's susceptible to, you can hurt him.
He takes a couple steps back, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He can be dropped. So I think this is really, really tough to bet on, because neither guy has proved that there's somebody that's going to let us down or not do exactly what you would think they were going to do, but somebody's going to have to get their hand raised. So I would lean Adesanya by decision.
I like a couple of points that you bring up. Blachowicz has definitely got a nice squeeze. Like, he'll get in weird angles while he'll squeeze your neck pretty fucking hard and tap you.
And that's a different squeeze than a middleweight squeeze.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Very different. And then you said something, Adesanya's takedown defense hasn't been bad either. Like,
yeah.
Again, only Kelvin really shot, and then he stuffed 2 or 3 of them.
Other than that, you're saying he hasn't really been tested in a takedown department, or?
Yeah, dude, Brunson didn't really take him down. Maybe he attempted a couple, but he mostly he got wild. He went old time Derek Brunson.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But I just don't think Adesanya's, I think he's gonna try to keep distance as much as possible, keep it in kicking range.
Who's the biggest guy Adesanya's fought? I'm looking at the record right now.
I was thinking that also.
Costa Romero and Marvin Vettori. Vettori gave him a tough time early on.
True,
he's
but
big,
that was early
one
on.
of his
right.
really early.
I would say most comparable to Jan's power is going to be Yoel Romero. Costa, at least in the fights and stuff, at least Costa didn't show up with it.
They both didn't do anything against him. Maybe it's because of that, it's too risky to get in the fire. You see what happened to Whitaker. But then again, you gotta fucking take that belt, right? I think Jan will take it. We'll keep it.
I hope it is too. I just find his shit so wholesome, and the Poland shit so wholesome. Yeah. And Izzy's got enough. He's still got the belt at middleweight. He can still make another run for the light heavyweight or whatever. But and shit, dude, if he comes in at 195 and wins the light heavyweight chip as the middleweight contender or whatever, god damn, Adesanya, he really is the last style bender.
Yeah, that's actually magical shit.
Magical shit, yeah.